So now that we have hopefully created your action plan, we then need to think about how are we going to actually implement that? Because it's one thing to make a plan, it's another to actually implement it and make it sustainable. And to implement a wellness plan, you're going to have to be able to change your habits. And as we know, changing habits for humans is really difficult. Not impossible, but can be difficult. But luckily, we've included a lot of information to help you get started on that. So we'll hop into it. So, transforming old unhelpful habits to wellness habits is a process that involves much more than just simply changing your behavior. It requires a shift in mindset and how you see yourself, mindful awareness of your habits, and taking steps to support yourself and letting go of behaviors that do not serve you and adding in ones that do. Below or on the next page, below if you're on the PDF, next page if you're looking at the workbook physically, or next couple slides if you're just looking at this. But here in a minute, you will have a guide that you can use to help you modify the habits that you identified in the personalized action plan. These principles can be applied to any habit, and once you get the process down for the first area you want to take action on, it will become easier to make additional changes. While these principles are found in many books and habit-focused programs, this section and the following sections are mostly adapted from Atomic Habits by James Clear. So if you want to learn more about changing habits, I would highly recommend checking out his book and workbooks. There's a lot of good information in there. What we're going to go over is just a little bit of it that's adapted from it. All right, so habits are repetitive behaviors we adopt over the course of our life that end up shaping our life. The behaviors we engage in each day add up and become our way of being, which then determines our level of wellness. Most of the time, we are not even aware of our habits because they become automatic and subconscious. To be able to change them, we first need to become aware of them, which requires us to practice being more mindful and present with ourselves throughout the day so that we can notice them and what maintains them. So the more that you practice what you've learned in the mindfulness section, the more you'll become aware of your habits, right? So to become more aware of your existing habits, take some time to reflect on the habits you already have and if they are serving you or hurting you on the next page. So again, hopefully you've got a physical copy of the workbook and you can actually fill out this table and write it down. If not, write it wherever you can. So to help you identify your habits, think about your physical habits, such as movement routines, eating patterns, sleep hygiene, water intake, etc. Your mental and emotional habits, such as what you give your attention to, how attached you are to your phone and scrolling through social media, how you handle and cope with emotions, etc. Your spiritual habits, which is things like how often you spend time outside versus inside, how you connect with whatever you identify as your higher power, if you make time for personal reflection or avoid it, etc. And then substance use, you know what I mean, or others. The goal with this exercise is not to shame yourself, but to just take an inventory of where you are right now without judgment. Your current behaviors and habits are a reflection of your current identity and how you see yourself. Your subconscious mind automatically acts out your behaviors, often without any conscious thought, because we have core beliefs that these behaviors represent who we are, even if we are not aware of those core beliefs. As discussed in the self-compassion and self-care sections, if you do not see yourself as someone worthy of caring for, you probably will not change your habits. To successfully change habits, you need to reevaluate your identity. Instead of focusing on the specific outcome you want to achieve with a new habit, such as weight loss from diet change, focus on who you want to become, someone who loves and cares about themselves enough to take in what nourishes them and let go of foods that harm their body and cause dis-ease. Essentially, you want to focus on acting as if you already are the person you want to become, and this shift in how you want to see yourself and carry yourself will help you slowly change behaviors in the direction of your new identity. To help you identify what it would look like for you to act out of your new identity, reflect on the questions below in your workbook. So again, I'm going to read these out loud, but I would like you, if you can, to pause and these might take a little bit more time to reflect on it because they're kind of broad questions. But this part's really important to learning how to change your habits. So please take some time and really think about these and hopefully write those answers down. So the first question is, what is your identity today? How do you see yourself? Include both positive and negative beliefs about yourself. So you can kind of get an overall picture of snapshot of what your self-conception is at this moment. And then once you've got that, then you want to ask yourself, how do you want to see yourself? What identity would you like to embody? You might think about with this, like as we talked about in the respect section about values, like since you identified like, what are some of the values that you hold and do you actually embody those every day? Those might help you identify like what you want your identity to look like, how you want to be able to see yourself. So if you truly saw yourself this way, how would you act? What would your behaviors look like? How would you talk to yourself and others? And how would you carry yourself? Essentially, if you can start to kind of form a mental image, a concept of, I like to call this my higher self. You don't have to call it that if that doesn't feel good to you. However you want to conceptualize it, you could see it as your most self-actualized self if you're looking at it from a psychology point of view, or living your best life if you want to use more modern lingo, whatever term you want to use. Um, what would kind of a visual and a list of characteristics, like representation of the version of you that you would like to be? What would that look like? You can draw, if you're an artistic person, you can paint yourself if you want. You can draw a picture, you can make a collage. If you're just a words person, you can just write down a descriptive list. However you want to do this is fine, but just the ultimate goal is to start to really envision who you want to become. Shedding off all of the layers of trauma and toxins and programming from this world, and who is really underneath all of that. Because if you can start to envision that, it's going to make it a lot easier to start to change your habits in the direction of embodying, that person that you want to be.